Hello folks, a very warm welcome to what will be my first video for 2022. I hope that everyone enjoyed a break of some sort, of some length, in recent times over the Christmas period, the holiday period. I hope everyone's also had a very enjoyable New Year, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Folks, what you're looking at on the screen, apart from my jerky camera movements, we're looking at an aircraft. The aircraft may look familiar to you. This is the Quest Kodiak, although I think it's been bought out by the DAHER manufacturer, D-A-H-E-R. Is that how you pronounce it? But it was originally developed by the Quest Aircraft Company. It's getting a lot of good press over in the other sim. SimWorks Studio released one before Christmas there, a couple of weeks before Chrissy. And yeah, very good press. Now, I don't have it in the Microsoft Sim. You'll notice, probably by the video title, that this is X-Plane, folks. And this is the Thrander Kodiak 100 model, version 2.2 of same. The other Kodiak, you might say. I reckon I just gave this video a title, the other Kodiak. So this is the MAF livery, the Mission Aviation Fellowship or something like that, I'm guessing. An organisation over here in Papua New Guinea. That's where we are today, folks. Let me see if I can sort of zoom. I don't know how to bloody work my controls here. Zoom out. Those are the hills near a place called Goosap here in PNG, folks. And we're going to a place called Goroka, which is sort of just down the road, about 35 miles or so, not very far. This is an FS economy run, as one of my dogs decides that she wants in on the first video of the year. Of course she would. So we're going to take this for a spin, folks. So the purpose here is, I guess, to remind myself and to remind the simming community that if X-Plane is your thing, we have a pretty bloody good Kodiak available for X-Plane 11, and I do apologise for my barking, howling, noisy, bloody dog. Oh, it's amazing how I can go without simming for days, and I haven't made a video in quite a long time, and she decides that now's the time to get in on the action. Never fails. Folks, I'm going to get this thing started and get the tie-downs off and everything, and we'll go for a fly. Actually, before I start it up, let me show you. I had to reacquaint myself with this the other day. It's been a while. Like, I've had this aircraft since it was first released. And then I put it in the hangar. It became a hangar queen, and I'll explain why as we go as we continue this video. But for now, what you got to know is that I've come back to it, and I'm kind of re-familiarising myself with it. So forgive me. This is not a review, this is not an in-depth instructional or promotional video for this aircraft. But it has a configuration panel, which works quite well. So, to get rid of all of the tie-downs, it's pretty simple. You click this thing that says all tie-downs, it'll go from red to green. All the tie-downs are gone. All the covers, and there's a few of them. There's one up there on the left wing, there's one on the tailplane. There, another one on the other side, one on the right wing, a couple down here under the engine, and it looks like there's a cover over there as well. Does that get rid of it? It does. There we go. So she's now a clean frame, right? There we go. Sweet. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do. If I jump in, actually, before I jump inside, again, folks. Refamiliarisation, please forgive me. I can turn a cargo pod on and off. Look how easy that is. Love the configuration options. They seem to be much easier for the developers to build here in X-Plane than it is in the Microsoft Sim. That's my impression anyway. And when you've got a quality developer like Thrander is, and they've got some great birds, by the way, if you're interested in the old X-Plane caper, check out their they've got a small catalogue, but quality, that's for sure. So you can take the fairings on and off like that. Actually, we might have to leave the fairings off. We'll leave the cargo pod on. What else can we do? We've got an electric tug We can build in what? Hang on. Where did I go, folks? What happened there? There's the electric tug. Oh, that's a funny looking thing. It's a little conveyor. Almost like a little conveyor belt. A strange looking little thing. I'll get rid of that. So I got window reflections on, but panel reflections off. Startup running is off. Now let me just jump inside. I've got to remember what the controls are. There it is. That's the virtual cockpit, folks. Looks very, very similar to the Microsoft one, hey? Or should I say the SimWork Studios one? Because it's essentially the same beast. Right? We get rid of... Can I get rid of that? Can I get rid of this? I can't. Let me go across here. Does that help? Can I get rid of it? It's got to be a way. There we go. Yeah, so that's the virtual cockpit, folks. This is X-Plane, so everything's quite dark. But, yeah, really well done. And it flies really well. It flies a little bit, I've got to say, flight model-wise, and I don't have the Kodiak in the Microsoft Sim, so that's a disclaimer, but flight model-wise is a little bit different. I find this one, like, I think they've updated the SimWorks Studio one in just after Chrissy, did they? Something like that. I think they adjusted the flight model, but the original flight model, she seemed a bit difficult to fly. This one doesn't feel as difficult. Feels more fluid. Feels, to me anyway, I kind of prefer this one, possibly because it's easier to fly. I don't know. That's the virtual cockpit, and everything else. The cabin's really well modelled as well. You've got the cargo hole down the back. Yeah, everything's pretty bloody good. Good quality, good texturing, great flight model, which is Thrander are known for. And the little dog, she just will not give up. So I'm going to have to do something about her, folks. I'll go and do that. Don't worry. No animals will be hurt in the production of this video, folks. But I'll go give her some attention and keep her a little bit quieter so the old man can make a movie here. We'll get it started and we'll go flying. Alright, folks. So we've achieved engine start. Welcome back on board. It's a little bit dark here in the cockpit. We've got some lighting up here, don't we? Can we move that? We can. We can move that, rotate that light. Actually, we might try the other one as well and see if we can get some light happening over onto the panel. Did that make a difference? Hard to tell. I can see the panel. It's just a very dark panel, I suppose, and it's a little bit... Yeah, X-Plane is, on the best of days, a little bit dark compared to the Microsoft Sim anyway. So, we've got local baro dialed in. We don't have a flight plan sorted out yet. Let me try and see if I've got a view set up. I do. So that's where we are. We're at Goosap. Flight plan wise, what we need to do is go from Goosap down to a place called, how do we do this? This one might take a while. Riveting video here, folks. AYGA, Goroka, first one, beautiful. Enter. That's what we want. So we're going 35 miles. Yeah, that'll do us. Yep, that's good. So from Goosap down to Goroka, 263 is our direct track. So basically a westerly track. Yeah, 35 miles. I don't know what our lowest safe altitude is. Haven't done that much research, folks. Try and just bring that range out a little bit. We've got to go up into the hills. Right, so there we go. So this is the G1000 X-Plane default G1000, which is pretty good. Although, you know, over there in the Microsoft Sim, we have the NXI model of the G1000, which is fantastic. I'm a real fan of it. But this X-Plane version is pretty bloody good. And the fact that it's so good out of the box and aircraft developers are able to just sort of utilise it, I think sped up the development of a lot of aircraft for the X-Plane 11 Sim. But it is limited in that you can't. There's some stuff that's missing, stuff that's been left off. So apart from the likes of Aerobask, who've done their own, they've sort of added on, topped up the G1000 with their own sort of version of it. I don't think there are too many other developers. Maybe that Hot Start TBM, maybe they did some stuff with it. Did they develop their own G1000? I don't know. Anyway, folks, I'm getting lost here. This is about the Quest Kodiak, the Throder Thrander Quest Kodiak. And not so much about the other sim. But just before I leave that discussion about the other sim, as I just jump back inside, let you have a bit of a look, bit of a listen. There she is, she's ready to go. Kicking up some dust. Don't know there's much dust to kick up, to be honest, but anyway. Hey, we got a, here we go, old mate. Young fella. That's me. I don't know that we've got any other passengers available. I don't think so. Maybe we do. Maybe we do. Weight and balance. Can I do something with the packs? Doesn't look like it. It's already. You can set weight and balance at the seat level. That's pretty cool. This configuration panel is really good, and you see the corresponding CG change as well down here. This is pretty bloody good. So we'll just play around with these weights a bit. We'll give ourselves a little bit of weight. This is an FS economy flight, so it'll kind of adjust itself to fit FS economy anyway. And you can sort of save the configuration. That's pretty good. So we're right in the smack bang in the middle of the CG. We've got some audio settings, some preset cameras, weight and balance as we saw. You've got some liveries that you can play around with, and then the general one that we saw before. But yeah. So I don't have the Microsoft one, and I probably won't be getting it, just because, not because it's not a great aircraft, because, as I said earlier, getting a lot of good press, but I just don't really have a need for it. And the reason I'm featuring this one is because I remembered that, oh, geez, you know, I remember having a Kodiak and X-Plane. I wonder if that's been updated, and it had been. So I downloaded the update and thought I'd make a video of it. It's kind of the origin of this video, folks. I'm going to get the FS Economy client started, and we will, trust me, we are going to go flying. Alright, I think we're ready to go, folks. We've got flaps at takeoff. We have elevator trim at takeoff. Flaps 10. We're in low idle. We might change it to high idle to get moving. Flaps are set, indicating 10. All the lighties are on. That's alright. I don't think we have too much more to worry about here. Fuel's on both. There's our rotation speed. If we're heavy, we're at max weight at 70. Yeah, we'll be airborne by 70, no worries at all. Local barrow, yeah. Just don't know what the elevation is over there at the Groker. It doesn't really matter. So, our parking brake is down here, so if we can release that, like so. And let's do this thing, folks. So go into high idle, bring up the talkie. Here we go, we'll get rolling there. Increase that torque, feed it in, right rudder. Don't know what the wind's doing. I think we're taking off on a taxiway too, by the way, folks. Just how we roll. We can bring up more torque. Go a little bit more on the torque. Airspeed definitely alive, up through 60 knots now. And by 70 we can absolutely rotate, which is there. And away we go. We rotate a little bit late, I think. So a little bit easier to take off than the, or it seems to be anyway, than the SimWorks Studio. I do got a little bit of right boot in, don't get me wrong. We'll go flaps up as well. And retrim. Don't know what best rate is, can't quite remember. It doesn't really matter. We'll just go runway heading here for a little bit. But it seems like it's a much easier aircraft to get airborne. And now we have the bloody phone ringing. Just when I deal with the dog. Oh, it's good fun, folks. Real life. This is reality simming, folks. Reality. I wish I could... well, actually, no, I don't. It's just the way it is. I don't wish for anything different. Real life, folks. People need to talk to you. Dogs need attention. You don't get to set your, you know, live in isolation from all that stuff, do you? Hey? Life would be pretty boring if you could control everything. That's a bloody big hill in front of us, isn't it? Bloody Nora. We've got some terrain to get over here. I might try... I might try and go out towards the west here a bit more. Yeah, it's hot as hell too. It's 32 degrees outside at the moment, here at 3,500 feet. So we've got an ISA of plus 23, so she's warm. So performance isn't going to be, you know, great. Our ITT's right up there, getting close to red line. We'll just come back a little bit on the juice, I think. Bring our prop back and bring our power back just to stay out of that red in the ITT. She's hot. And we'll just head out here to the west a little bit and avoid terra firma as best we can. We've got pretty good viz. Plenty of space between us and the bottom of the clouds as well. The X-plane scenery, folks. She's yeah, she's a bit of a step down if you get used to the Microsoft one, isn't it? Not that this is really a comparison between the two sims. Both sims have a place on my hard drive and have a place in my heart. I've spent a lot of time in X-plane over the years, much more than in the Microsoft sims and variants of, including P3D. X-plane has been my main sim for all these years. Well, probably for the last 10. And I still revisit it, and I remember seeing a comment on my last video before the Chrissy break. Someone made a comment, can't quite remember who, but it was along the lines of don't forget about X-plane or something. And trust me, I haven't. I'm looking forward to X-plane 12 with some anticipation, I must say. And I've got a lot of birds here in X-plane that I could bring out of the hangar. I'd love to bring out of the hangar. I'd love to have them updated and flying in X-plane 12 when that is released, but whether that happens or not, I don't know. Just keeping a close eye there on terra firma. This does have synthetic vision, but I don't think it's particularly pretty. Where is synthetic vision? Is it in miss? There it is. Synthetic vision goes on. Oh, there it is. It's just got some weird sort of representation here. Like you actually, it's like having a camera. Look, you're actually seeing the terrain. So I mean, it's a bit different from the Erebusque one. I think the Erebusque one is a little bit better, a little bit nicer, but it's a form of synthetic vision. I'll give them that. Thrander, that's their adaptation, and it kind of works. It's up through 6,500 feet here, folks. ITT remains pretty high. We're basically heading. Goroka's sort of 12 o'clock. I think I've flown into Goroka before, but it's been years, and it probably wasn't in this sim. So it's probably going to present us with a bit of a challenge. But anyway, that's why we're in the Kodiak. True style aircraft. Hand flying, and this thing's just smooth as. Just beautiful. Maybe a little bit too smooth. I don't know. It seems to be a pretty... we don't have our wind display on the PFD. That one. Yeah, I was going to say, geez, the winds seem light, and they are. It's hot, but there's just no wind. So it's pretty smooth so far. Climbing out 1,000 feet a minute. I'll go outside, give you an outside view for those of you that like that sort of thing. There it is. I've got to remember what the commands are. Georgie's not in command here, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of work. Hey, a little bit of right aileron, fella. That's just beautiful, isn't it? Hey, there's a screenshot right there, folks. Beautiful. Anyway, I'll get us closer to Goroka, folks, and onto the approach, and rejoin you at that point. Alright, folks, we're about 12 miles from Goroka. Goroka's sort of on the other side of this ridge here. Field elevation at Goroka is 5.2. We're currently at 9.4, so I'm going to start or continue a sort of gentle descent. The wind should be light, so we just got to... I don't think it'll really matter which runway we use. I don't remember what the runway orientations are, but I know that the field elevation's 5.2. So, I mentioned at the start of the video that I had this aircraft since its initial release, and I actually flew it on a long ferry, an FS Economy ferry. I bought one in Papua New Guinea up here, and I flew it down to the North Island of New Zealand via a whole lot of stops in Australia and made a whole bunch of virtual cash, and then intended to sort of use it in New Zealand to ferry packs and cargo between my FBOs, and I had a little network of FBOs at that time. But, and while I made a lot of money in the Kodiak, and while I can still make a lot of money in the Kodiak in FS Economy, it had some issues, particularly on landing. It became very difficult to control. Like, most of my landings would end up off the strip, even in sort of still conditions. And this is a bit of a known issue, and it still remains an issue with this aircraft. Some people are still experiencing it. I've got to say, at this version 2.2, and I can't remember exactly when it was updated, last updated, but I did some touch and goes the other day in this aircraft, and I wasn't experiencing that squirreliness, if that's the right word, but some people still are. It's a much more stable, controllable aircraft for me, version 2.2, but the early renditions of it, absolute nightmare. It's always flown pretty well, but just on the ground after landing, and it really put me off, and it put me off to the point where I hangared it. Put it in the hangar and sold it in FS Economy, and I think I ended up buying a Pilatus PC-12 or something like that. And whilst I've been telling you this tale, I've got a little bit distracted here, folks. I don't really remember where Goroka is exactly. It's somewhere down here, about a 12 o'clock position from here, at 5 miles. So I'm guessing it's sort of, is that it over there? Is that it? Sorry for my dodgy cam work. Is that it over there? I'm kind of going to head in that direction, folks, and hope that that's the field. We're at 6.4, so we don't want to get too much lower. We are slowing down a little bit. 4 miles to run. Is that the airfield? We're just going to kind of head towards it. Up there on the hill? I don't know. Probably not. There'll be people watching this video right now saying, "You dumbass, that's not Goroka at all." We don't have a lot of clearance from terrain here. 5,200. We're 12 o'clock at 3 miles. It's not going to be that at all, dumbass. That looks like an airfield down here, doesn't it? I'm looking for some sort of, dodgy hillside strip. This looks like an actual genuine airport. It is. What's old mate doing? What am I worried about? Alright, so what we'll do is we'll head out here towards the northwest. We're 500 feet at, if that, above terrain. We've let ourselves descend far too low here. It's a hot day, so performance isn't great. We're actually still descending. We're going to need some more torque, fella. You can't just baby the torque. And we'll land towards what looks like towards a sort of a southerly direction. We'll scare the locals here, coming over this hill. Admittedly, the scenery here leaves a little bit to be desired, but there's an airfield, there's some buildings. It's good enough. It's not a scenery simulator, it's a flight simulator, this one. 120 knots. We can take a stage of flap if we want to. We're game. There's a field. There we go. Those houses look absolutely inappropriate for this part of the world. That's okay. Like I said, not a scenery simulator, folks. We might take a stage of flap, see what happens. A little bit of a pitch up moment. And we'll sort of fly a rough left circuit here. We've slowed down, that's for sure. No worries there. We're into the wide arc if we wanted to take full flat. Going to lose sight of the strip here. Got to be a little bit careful not to get too slow. Sort of bring ourselves around for a runway. I'm going to guess sort of 1819, something like that. We've lost sight of the strip. That's always a good sign. Where's our strip? There's got to be a strip here somewhere. There it is. We're in the wide arc. We take full flap at this point. We're shot through the centre line. Yep. 2022, folks, the videos will be just like 2021. There's been no improvement in the flying capability during the break. 80 knots, we're getting slow, we're going to retrim. Wind, yep, light breeze, 1.7. 1.7 right. I said 1.8 or 1.9, we were close. 75 knots or something like that. We'll go into a bit of a flare. Ooh! Righto. Can we go into beta? Into a bit of a beta mode, come out of beta. Now that was a bone rattler, folks. Made all the worse because of XP Realistic. Or made more realistic. That was horrible. Just let the speed decay far too much there, and paid the price for it. So let's just get off this strip. Yeah, horrible landing. All pilot error there, folks. Nothing wrong with the flight. It feels really fluid is the word I will use. It feels really nice to fly. Maybe you know, compared to the Microsoft one, a little bit. Maybe feels a little bit too controllable. A little bit too. Yeah, but anyway, different sim. And it's a great aircraft, and if you're into your Kodiaks and if you're into your FS economy, and you know, this is a very capable aircraft. You can make you a fair bit of virtual coin, and it's a great aircraft for this part of the world as well. Definitely suits its purpose. So I'm just going to put it into a parking spot here, folks. We might have a look at the replay of that landing just for kicks, hey? What do you reckon? Let's do that. Here we are, folks. Final approach. We're going to relive it. He took full flap about here, didn't he? Yep, there we go. We sort of pitch down. We've got the nose down, don't we? We're going to land pretty flat. And what happens is I just let that speed decay. Got too slow. Look at this, and bang, planted it. Well, we got the mains on first. We bunny hopped it. We went into beta. You hear that kick in. She pulls up pretty bloody quick. I mean, we kept it on the centre line. I'll give myself that credit. But yeah, that's not how it's done, folks. I like the replay function of X-Plane. It's just a lot easier than the things you've got to do over there in the Microsoft Sim. Oh, a little bit of Tokyo drifting there. Put a bit of pressure on the struts. And we taxied off. Anyway, folks, that's the first video for 2022. Started with a controlled crash here into Goroka and Papua New Guinea. This has been the Thrander Quest Kodiak here in X-Plane 11, the other Kodiak, you might say. Thank you once again for your company, and we'll see you next time, folks.